Welcome back, guys. Please say hello to Deebs from True Bloods to preview this week's game.
Bounces in the vicinity of Carey. Magnificent! What a goal! And that is really the goal of the season.
All right, guys, we're back for another preview podcast. And once again, you've got to recruit the best help around. I'm not privy to what's going on up at the Swans at the moment, but I found a man who is. This is Deebs from True Bloods. Very exciting to have you on, mate, and thank you for some of your time.
Thanks for having us on, Josh. A bit of a tough day yesterday, mate. We're not used to having losses at the Swannies at the moment. That's 2 in a row. So a bit of a reality check for us supporters, mate. But, it's, just that nice reality check that I think everyone needs every now and then.
Yeah, look, I definitely didn't think I'd be coming on a podcast with the Swans fans after a week where we've won and you've lost. So, Look, the tables really are turning right now. I'm on cloud 9. It doesn't get much better than this for me.
Yeah, how good, mate. It's great for your supporter base just to, get a bit of reward for effort, mate. There's a lot of loyal North Melbourne supporters out there who have put up with some shit. And I don't know how I would have done it if the Swans were going through the same thing. But, it's good to see you boys get some reward for effort.
Yeah, look, it's that was my first win in the stadium in 6 years. I haven't been in the stadium to see us win a game in 6 years, man. So, yeah, look, it was pretty good. I posted up a video of me. I filmed myself at the end of the game so I could keep it as a memory. But I had a bunch of mates with me and. Oh man, I don't know. I didn't even know what I was doing. I got lightheaded. I was emotional. It was crazy. Last time I saw us win, it was down in Tassie in 2018 against Carlton, and we smashed them. Like Ben Brown kicked 9. That was when Majak was playing in the back line, that sort of stuff. And that's the last win I've seen in person. So look, I can't say that anymore. I broke the hoodoo, but yeah, that's enough. That's enough of a time span between wins for me.
How good, mate. How good. Yeah. That's awesome to hear. We always say it, even like with our season at the moment, it's celebrate every win because they're hard to get and you don't know when the next one is coming. But we always just, celebrate, win, lose or draw. We enjoy each other's company. But, yeah, it's good to see you guys have a win.
Yeah, about time too. And hopefully a few more to come. I guess we've got a game this weekend and yeah, look, I don't know. Obviously, I don't think it's going to swing in North's favour in the betting or anything like that. But I don't know. It does make me feel a little bit more confident that we could put up a fight or something like that. I guess before we get into the game, we'll talk about the season for the Swans a little bit. Obviously, a fantastic season so far. But what happened on the weekend, mate? What happened against the Saints?
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to digest it. Obviously, only being yesterday and sort of deep dive into it, but it's just a few things not sort of happening for us. I think the main thing is our pressure on the ball carrier. It's down. Fox Footy normally put up that metric, and you see,
pressure
about
gauge.
150's poor, 220's like elite, and we haven't been getting into that elite category very often, and. All our game, as most teams, I think your game really stems from the pressure you can put on, and it's dropped off in the last. It's even been the last 6 weeks, Josh. In all honesty, Mads and I on the podcast, we've been able to sort of see these couple of losses coming for a little while. We were lucky enough to, in the last month before the losses. We just played powerful footy and we could kick 5 or 6 goals in 20 minutes and, either get ourselves back in the game or put sides away. Then it was sort of game over from then. But playing that type of footy and getting the results, I think really it just went over the cracks and painted over the cracks to really what was going on. These games have been coming for the last 6 weeks, and I think we're just seeing, when you're a couple % off in this league, it's, you just don't get the result. It's over. It's very even.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I guess it's an interesting point too, because our pressure has been, I think we're the number 1 tackling team, top 3 for clearance, and pressure gauge for us is always super high since the bye. And it's crazy how pressure alone can be, it looks like to me, it's probably the biggest factor between competing and not, because watching games like against the Lions this year for us and the Cats and plenty, to be fair, we were never tackling. We didn't look like we're in the contest at all. And now we're in the contest. I've always said to lots of people, and I think if people really follow the league enough and know about other teams, we don't have that bad of a side. Or we've got talent and we have got good players in our team. They just didn't click together at all. They didn't hunt together, and there wasn't the pressure there. And that's definitely been the biggest thing that's changed our fortunes around, because it's the same personnel, but the difference is we're tackling, and when we bring that much pressure, it gives us a little bit more time on the ball to actually execute instead of just bombing the thing long. So yeah, I get you. Pressure seems to be the biggest thing, the biggest metric that almost makes you competitive or not.
Yeah, it's even the inferred pressure, what it does to the opposition. And even when they have got the time, they're rushing to get on the boot or get that quick handball ball out. It's it's critical to winning games of footy. And I think as soon as you sort of, as I said, you drop off those couple percent and you get found out, it doesn't matter who you're playing. We even saw it, earlier in the year against some, sides down the bottom of the ladder. If you're just off that little bit of percent, you don't win games.
No, absolutely. Rest of the season's been very good, though. I mean, the percentage you guys have, the 2 games you've lost, you've only lost by a couple of points.
Three games now, Josh. 3 games.
Yes. Sorry. Sorry. That's a dream world for me, mate. So I'm not used to speaking like that. It's different to me. But look, what was it? It was a point to the Dockers and 2 to the Saints on the weekend. Is that correct?
Yeah. And I think it was 4 points against Richmond or 5 points earlier on in the year. But yeah, look, that's one positive. Last week I took a lot of solace in that we were very, very much off against Freo. Not much went right. We played 10 minutes of footy and got back into that game and nearly pinched it. Yeah. But from being at the game yesterday, I think there's a few more concerns to come out of the game against St Kilda. St Kilda, even, when St Kilda's banging 4 or 5 goals on you pretty quickly, for a team that struggled to score all year, there's some serious issues with, your defensive setup and things like that. I think there are a few more problems to come out of yesterday, but look, I won't go off on a tangent yet. You got to do your work before you, you go off online. But yeah, I think there's a few more issues and sort of blowing a lead this time. It's been our main problem's been giving up a lead at the start of games and chasing them down. But, we blew a lead against the 15th ranked side in the comp. That's not a good thing either. So definitely some concerns to come out of yesterday. But we'll see what happens.
What's the stuff you've been doing well all season, though? So if you're gonna pinpoint something that the Swans do really, really well that you think has sort of unlocked this team a little bit this year with just looking, I still think you're the best team in the comp and there's a gap. I know it maybe doesn't feel like that right now, but I think everyone would maybe universally agree that Carlton's probably your main challenger. And once again, they had a very Carlton-like display on the weekend. What are you doing well, or what do you think's the key or the way you're playing this year to make you so good?
Yeah, it's the ball movement off half back and being able to, kill teams on turnover. We've got some amazing weapons by foot and just special players who kick it in a special way. Like we got players like Nick Blakey coming off half back. When he gets running, we're a much better side. Getting the ball in Errol Goulden's hands, being able to pull off those 45 kicks into the middle, open the ground up, and that quick ball movement. That's when the Swannies are going well. And when we move the ball quick and don't, give teams a chance to set up defensively, that's when we're playing our best footy. And, we've got the big 3 in there, Chad Warner, Isaac Heaney and Goulden. They've had phenomenal seasons. And when they're all going, we're very hard to stop. But you sort of even look at the weekend, all those guys had relatively good games and we didn't get the result. So that's probably the first time this year that's happened, where they've played decent games and we still haven't got the result. So, look, that's what we do well. But, there's definitely some things to clean up as well.
How's the forward line going up there? I can't remember Swans, your exact scores off. Is it more you're limiting teams scoring, or you can put a lot of points on the board? So I look at your forward line and I think they're all good. I like, is McLean, Hamish McLean? Is that his name?
Hayden McLean.
Hayden McLean, sorry. Yeah, Hayden McLean. And then Armitage was a player I never really rated very much until this year, and he seems to have come on. Yeah, I know he had talent and things like that, but I think I saw a lot of games where he was quite athletic and could get the ball, but, maybe didn't have the skills to be able to polish it off. But this year he seems to have taken a step. McLean looks pretty solid down there. But I guess you maybe don't have a forward that I'm like, wow, they're a top 5-10 forward in the game. So is it a communal effort up there, or is it really defense just like limiting the other teams?
Yeah, well, I think, if you look at the stats, I think we got the number one offense and the number one defense in the league, and they sort of work well with each other. But yeah, Marty's still got a lot of work to do on his consistency and continuity in his game. He's had a lot of issues with his body coming up through the years. And look, this is the first time he's probably put together a preseason and been able to get consistent games into him. And we saw that, that amazing effort of 9 goals against Adelaide the other week, single-handedly won us that game basically. But once again, he probably hasn't done much in the last 2 weeks. Always competes hard. I like what he does, but he's got to work on that consistency to, continually impact games. Hayden McLean's been really good as well. He's sort of the backup ruck for Grundy. So he's been doing a really good job at that. Loving what Big Dossie's doing. And he's a real threat around the ground as well. He's quite a good contested grab. He took 6 contested grabs against Freo last week. Probably a little bit quieter this week, but been pretty consistent. But a lot of our scoring powers just come from our midfield. I think Chad, Heaney, and Errol have nearly kicked 20 goals each. So when your midfield's put in that type of score on the board, you're not as reliant on your forward line. But then we got guys like Will Hayward as well, who steps up. He was really good last week against Freo, and he's always a target. Underrated strong hands as well. He's that nice size, sort of 6'1", 6'2", can play small or tall. So yeah, we got some threats up there. Then you got your Tommy Papleys coming through there as well.
Yes.
Sammy Wicks for that forward pressure. They're not the big names that everyone knows, but even if they were big names, they wouldn't be getting the coverage because we're up in Sydney, mate. And that's why we started the podcast, because we were sick of not getting spoken about. But yeah, there's some powerful types up there, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, I understand we're in Melbourne and we don't get spoke about, mate. So I get you. Don't worry about that. I guess Logan McDonald as well up there. Like, what sort of goal numbers are these guys on this season? I haven't looked at how many they've scored, but who's maybe your leading forward?
Oh, geez. I think Marty would be leading it now, and Logan not too far behind. Logan's had a tough couple of weeks, having a couple opportunities to sink the games, but he's been pretty consistent this year. He's always, I think, because he was such a high draft pick, went in that top 5, I think he went. He's sort of held to a real high standard. Hopefully with, signing the 4-year extension last week, we see the best of Logan McDonald, and he's faced some adversity in his first, few years in the system. He was dropped from a grand final in 2022. He's had the last couple of weeks. So I think he's made of the right stuff. But once again, I think Logan, he drifts in and out of games too much. You really want your key forwards to be able to inject themselves into the game when they need to, and it's just a bit of consistency from those young guys. They're all young. That's the thing. We're still a very young side. So yeah, look, I love what our forward line looks like. It looks different. It's quite agile on the run, and with the mids doing what they're doing. It can't complain too much.
Absolutely. Well, Logan McDonald's a very talked about figure at North Melbourne, from us drafting Will Phillips over Logan McDonald. And it's something our fan base still is haunted by until this day. We were, I mean, obviously not when we're winning games, but before the bye, the amount of times we were just like, because Will Phillips wasn't getting in the team until he, has sort of come back as a tagger in recent weeks and had some pretty big assignments and things like that. But, we were always going, wow, imagine if we could have had a Logan McDonald to back up a Nick Larkey instead of getting a Phillips, to maybe to this point in his career hasn't quite done enough as a number 3 pick. But hey, he's in the side now, so it doesn't really matter. But he's always a much talked about figure for us. I'm just trying to think of matchups, sort of like, because we've got Core, Comben, Callan Dawson down in that back line at the moment. And, Comben's been fantastic this year. Core, I've had my beef with Aiden Core. Marnie knows all about that, but he's actually been very, very good. Kicked Max King and Ben King to 1 goal each, I think, in the games we've played and things like that. So it'll be interesting, I think, because we're finally getting some players. Like historically, I forgot about Will Hay. You usually got some names, don't you? Like Papley and Haywoods and that sort of stuff are the players for me that I feel like usually tear North Melbourne apart. But now, Jackson Archer's there and he's actually playing quite well. And I don't know, I just feel like we can compete a lot more now. But hey, maybe I get a win and this is where my head goes, right? I'm losing the plot.
Not at all, mate. And look, I think this matches up pretty even. I don't think we typically don't we haven't belted North many times. I don't think it's been pretty good games. I remember a couple of tight ones up in Sydney in the recent.
Jack Siebel kicked 5 against Sydney a few years ago or something.
Yeah. And I reckon you probably got the win that day.
And then there was the one with the interchange infringement last year.
You should have won that. Should have won that. There's been a few, but yeah, you'd probably your Charlie Comben's probably going to Armadi, you would think.
Athletic enough to handle him.
Yeah. But, he's sort of the stay-at-home forward. McLean coming down there with Aiden Core picks him up on the way through. You got some things to worry about, but I think we do as well. Your mids are going well at the moment. Talk to me about them.
Well, that was actually going to lead into my next question. Like, what's something that you think North Melbourne do really well, or something that you think we could take advantage of you with during the game?
Yeah, I think if you guys bring the heat, it's been shown that we haven't been able to handle it at times, and teams have scored on us relatively easy. And I watched that game against Collingwood, and geez, I'm not even a North Melbourne supporter, and that killed me. I don't support many other teams but it was a genuine support I had for you that day. And that first half, you guys really showed what you can do. Collingwood, they were a little bit undermanned, but the way you were able to move the ball, your forwards were able to hit up and get over the back, and your ball use was phenomenal that day. I think if you can bring that quick ball movement and, don't let us set up in defence, you've got some classy players coming through. I think, you got to look at Davies Uniacke. His last sort of probably 4 to 6 weeks have been pretty good. Started a bit slow, but he's definitely got the right thing going. Harry Sheasel, all these guys coming through. Cam Zerha always seems to go well against us as well. He's sort of that funny in between matchup, and not having Harry Cunningham too. He's probably a little known player to, the lay AFL supporter, but he's so crucial to what we do and how we set up in that back defense. He hasn't played in the 3 losses we've had this year. Whether that's coincidence or there's a bit in that, I'm not too sure. But look at you. I'm not walking into this game like I was against the Saints. We're a little bit off, and the Kangas are playing some good footy.
Yeah, I think it really does stem from the midfield for us. I mean, even, obviously talking about LD, we get Wardlaw back next week as well, and he was the best player on the park in that first half.
Such a good player.
Yeah, like he's just got this bulldog about him that, I don't know, mate. Like all the listeners of the pod here know, like I just love George Wardlaw. And first game, was it against the Swans his first game? Or was it? Yeah, I think it was. I think his first game was against the Swans last year in that game that was the Siren Gate or whatever we want to call it. First game I saw him play, I said he's got it. He's absolutely got it. And if he can put it together, he's going to be able to to make it work. I think the addition of him, Sheasel has just gone to this. It's crazy we could say Sheasel went to another level. It's crazy because we're saying that because he's 19. Of course he's going to. But he played so well last year that if a player's got more levels than that, then it's going to be very, very scary. I mean, he's racking up, 35 touches. He's getting a couple of goals a week now, involved in so many goal assists. I mean, and the biggest one, and I'm sure you've seen a clip of it, but if not, I hope we can you can have a look at it soon. Colby McKercher, his first game back last week, 37 touches, and just that run down the wing. I don't know if you saw that or not, But, 4 bounces, took a bunch of players on, 1-2 handballs and just cut the place apart, then delivers it on Larky's chest perfectly. Geez,
yeah, how good.
It's crazy stuff from us at the moment, but we can see against like the Bulldogs when we played them a couple of weeks ago, if our midfield doesn't fire, we're very, very, very vulnerable. And I still think if we give up the corridor, I think tactically we give up the corridor a little bit because teams there's not a lot of corridor attacking teams anymore in the league. I think maybe like your Collingwoods, Hawthorn seem to go through there a little bit, those like run and gun sort of teams. But I think a lot of teams like to go around the wing to play it safe, and we give up the corridor a lot. If the Swans are good at pushing off half back, the only reason Collingwood got back into that game was because as soon as that ball hit the ground, they just went straight to the corridor and we're vulnerable. And it almost always ends up in a goal. So if we win it from stoppage, I really believe if we win it from stoppage in any game, we're going to at least be in the game, because our mids, when they get the ball and when we receive it, they're fantastic. But we're just as likely to lose that battle as win it. I think we're in good form at the moment, but I've seen us, drop, and then they're the games we get smashed.
Yeah, well, and that's what happens with these young sides. You're going to get these inconsistencies, and it drives you mad, and you don't know why it happened. But yeah, look, we can come through the corridor. There's no doubt. I think earlier in the season we were doing it a lot more, but teams tend to clog it up. I wouldn't be surprised if you did try something different in there. I couldn't see you just giving it up freely. That's for sure. Sometimes you're just too good and you can get through there, but. I'll highly suggest, especially at the SCG, it's we love to come through the corridor there. But yeah, it'd be interesting tactics. We may have a couple players coming in. Whether good news for you guys with Heaney getting a week.
That was going to be my next question.
So I'm leading you in nicely.
Yeah, you're good, mate. We're on the same page here.
Yeah, disappointing with Heaney copping a week. We'll definitely go to the tribunal. There's no doubt. I don't personally think there's too much in it. This intentional thing, there's no intent about that at all. I think it's a free kick, and this is the thing. It's a results-based outcome with everything in the AFL. Because Webster was, pissing blood out his nose. It's never going to look good. And if he wasn't bleeding like that, I reckon he probably might get away with a fine. But we'll definitely go to the tribunal. We'll be listening to David Zeta on the Twitter following the tribunal and whether he gets up. But if Heaney doesn't play, I think Parker's available for selection this week. So I think if Heaney doesn't play, Parker will play. He'll be chomping at the bit. Hasn't played a game this year, and sort of Callum Mills is going to be pretty close as well. We sort of think he'll be going back to half-back. We saw with Matty Roberts getting subbed out on the weekend, struggling for a bit of form. So that could be the likely change there. If Millsy's ready to go, it's pretty scary to think that we're sitting, 13-3, and both captains from last year haven't played a game, and it's round 18.
Yeah, that's wild.
We've got some room for improvement, and that on-field leadership too. I think we've struggled for a little bit of it at times this year. Just being able to stem the flow of momentum, and I think having Millsy up back, Parker, who's going to be so hungry, it's going to be unbelievable. But getting some games into those guys, selection's always interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess throughout the year, I've sort of forgot that the Swans are missing a few of their better players to come back in as well. I guess you haven't played all year. How much do you sort of expect from them coming back in? I guess I'm not sure. They're either going to come back. I mean, I'm going on about McKerchick not playing for 2 months and then having 37. So clearly people can come back in and still make an immediate impact. I mean, you don't lose your talent, do you? I guess it's just a bit of match conditioning, but scary names to have to come back in regardless.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we sort of, Millsy's been playing pure midfield the last, 2 or 3 years. Best two-way mid in the comp, all Australian, runs hard. That's sort of the Bloods ethos. Is you got to run both ways. And got a couple in Errol Goulden and Millsy who do it better than others. But it's going to be sort of back to early Callum Mills days, in those 16 grand final, halfback, cool head, distributor off there. So I haven't seen that for a few years, but he's a class player, all Australian. I don't think he'll be off the pace too much. And as I said, if Parker gets selected as well, I don't think you'll see a hungrier man playing AFL. There was when he actually got rubbed out against Frankston, I remember sitting there thinking I was actually at a wedding, and we were playing the big Friday night against Carlton at the SCG, and Luke Parker was playing VFL at Frankston of a Friday night. And it's like, you sometimes you face these adversities, and that makes you, what you can do all the more powerful. So, Luke Parker will be a one determined man if he does get selected.
Yeah, for sure. Luke Parker was someone that obviously hasn't played all year, and we've been linked with Luke Parker. Now, I don't really believe it's super true. I'm a Premier League fan, mate. So any single transfer rumor, I don't believe, because 99% of it is just rubbish to get people to click on your article. But tell me about him, and do you think he's any chance to head off, or do you reckon he stays around?
Nah, you're like former captain of the club. Like Luke Parker is Bloods footy. You hear about the Bloods culture getting talked about all the time. He personifies it. I think he's still got a year or two to run on his deal. Not that means much these days. Players still get traded, but I couldn't see it happening personally. But you never know. If you stay out of favour, things can change quickly. But I still see, and you hear John Longmire talk in press conferences, it's like Luke Parker's going to have a role to play this year. So, look, I'll put full faith that Parks is a Blood for life, but time will tell.
So before we go to the tip for the game, what's your expectation for this year for the Swans? What do you want out of the rest of the season? Obviously, top of the ladder. I'd be assuming grand final / premiership, but what's your sort of goal for the team for the rest of the year?
Oh, that's the obvious goal. I think winning 10 games in a row, you're couple games clear at the top of the ladder at round 17. If that's not your goal, it's never going to be. But at the same time, we're a side that's made multiple grand finals. I've seen more losses than I've seen wins. I know how hard they are to make, and they're even harder to win. So it's definitely lids on at the Swans and at True Bloods, mate, just because we've been let down so many times. But
I get you.
It's look, that's the expectation. We're every chance. We've given ourselves a chance. We're having this little lull at the moment, but I think a lot of premiership sides have done that in the past as well. So I'm not
better to come now than later as well.
Exactly right. We have another mantra on the podcast. It's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. You can get so caught up in what happens week to week in footy, and when you're nuffies like we are, mate, it consumes you. But
yeah, absolutely.
We go back to that, and keep level headed as the club is as well. So, look, I hope we can go all the way, but it's very tough to do, mate. What about you for the rest of the year?
Oh, jeez. I don't know, man. It feels so good right now, but we've won 2 games, so I'm not really sure. I think I got to bring my head back down to earth this week a little bit and reassess my options. To be honest, I mean, 3 wins last year. If we could beat that, I think I'd be pretty happy. To give you a little bit of footy press conference type answer, if we play like this the rest of the year, I'm pretty happy. I think all North fans feel that we've turned now. It doesn't feel, like we're just in a good patch of form. It feels like this is the standard now, and you can see that from 5 games in a row of pretty elite pressure and tackling, clearance, sort of dominance in midfield, and our defense, which I think is our most, to the general footy fan, people think is our weakest element, is actually probably our strongest. So if you want a safe goal, give me 4 wins. We've got Eagles and Tigers back-to-back in a few weeks. We've got a tough 3 weeks, Swans, Cats, Blues. And then we play the Tigers and the Eagles back-to-back. So we got the Hawks last round. If we got 4 wins from the start when we lost 11 in a row, I think I'm happy with that. I'm a bit of a realist. Marnie's definitely the delusional one here. She'll tip us by 5 goals this week, which is terrifying. But I tipped us by 3 points as well against the Suns. We won by 4. So clearly I'm a tipping god. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I'd say 4. Give me 4, 5, and I'll be very, very happy. And I think the biggest thing for us is, we need to carry that into next season as well. I mean, the preseason was all North ball and all, oh my God, we beat Collingwood in the preseason and we looked great and we rocked up. I mean, round 1 against the Giants wasn't that bad. Freo, we got like 40 points up and then lost. And then since like round 3 against the Blues till the bye, it was just hell, to be honest with you. It was depressing and everything was bad, but I feel like that's turned. Give me 4 wins as a minimum to make me happy. 5, I'll be bouncing off the walls. I think that's fair.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure.
So the game this week, what are we tipping? What are we thinking? Give me a tip and give me amount of points.
Look, I think we get it done. I'll take 4 or 5 goals. Anything less than that, then I still think there's going to be some issues. But key matchup, we sort of didn't talk about McCartan on Larky. Larky always seems to go the big SUV. He goes pretty well against us. He kicked a big bag against us at Etihad one day. He's been, a great soldier for you guys for a long time. And, Tommy's nearly sort of slightly undersized against those big guys. So big job for him. I think if we can keep him quiet, it'll go a long way to winning the game as well, mate. But yeah, Swanee's 4 or 5 goals.
That's fair. Yeah, that's something I think our forward line's got better at too, is like we have had games like he didn't kick a goal against the Dogs and whoever team we played before, I can't remember. It was 11 quarters without a goal or something, but we still competed in all those games. Your Paul Curtis's, Zerhas, Eddie Fords. Bryn Teakle has come in the mid-season draft and been fantastic for us. He's kicked a goal every game he's played. 2 goals last week off 2 pack marks in the forward line. So Larky's finally getting a little bit of help, but if he doesn't kick a bag, we are no chance, only because of the quality of the opposition. I'm sitting pretty similar to you, mate, to be honest. I think we'll compete. I think our base level of performance is sort of the standard every single week now. And yeah, I'd probably say Swans 4 or 5 goals. But we make it tricky. I think we can run with you in the midfield. I just think maybe you turn the screw late in the game and maybe get over the line with the experience. But look, I'd love to tip us for a win here, but I'm the realistic tipper. And I do think, if I'll be happy if North is like, say, 3 or 4 goals we lose by against the top team on the ladder. I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, I'd probably say Swans by 4 or 5.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with you guys, it's all about, and you guys as, in-depth supporters who actually have a good look at what's going on, you got to look at the method too. It's like sort of going back to, 2018, 2019, those sort of COVID years when we were down in the bottom 4 for 2 years. It's funny. You could always see what we we're trying to do. And I think as long as you got that bit of hope and it starts to come together and you see the method every week, that sort of gives you a bit of confidence moving forward. So yeah, sometimes you do just have to dig a little deeper to what the result is as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, North Melbourne heavily criticised, rightly so, for 5 years because we've been pretty average. But I think that's why the whole supporter base sort of does feel like it's turned a little bit now, because we are seeing little intangible things happen, not just like a game of, wow, we actually played well, then the next week it drops off. And I think that's why we're sort of starting to believe it a little bit now, that it's, it's consistent performance and the floor has sort of risen. Guys like Paul Curtis, Eddie Ford, Curtis Taylor, those guys could either be some of your best on the day or they're doing nothing, but now they're at least tackling, chasing, forming a contest. So look, mate, who knows? Maybe it's going to be a Swans North grand final the next couple of years. We'll wait and see, I guess.
I'd love to see it, mate. It'd be good.
Well, thank you for jumping on. Do you want to let everyone know where to find you? If there's any people who've got Swans fans in their life, definitely got to get over and listen to True Bloods. But tell us a little bit about the pod. We haven't talked about it heaps, and let everyone know where to find you if you like.
Yeah, so I started the pod about 6 or 7 years ago with a mate of mine called Madison. We just got fed up of the Swans not being in the news, so took it into our own hands and started our own podcast. You can find us over on all your socials, on your TikToks, Instagrams, Facebooks, at True Bloods Podcast. Yeah, live episodes go up every Wednesday morning. We record them over Tuesday, and we've had some good access to players this year. We've had even national recruiting manager on, Kinnear Beatson. We had Tom Harley, the CEO, on at the start of the year. So we've been blessed to get some insights into the club, and I think that's the listeners really appreciate getting those insights. So yeah, if you know any Swannies, send our link that way, and that'd be greatly appreciated. And thanks very much for having us on, Joshy.
No, anytime, mate. Anytime. Look, we're a young podcast in the game, but look, if we can be anywhere near that one day, we had Charlie Comben on and did a live show and things like that. And I never thought I'd be doing anything along those lines. So if we could ever have access like you guys clearly have built for yourselves, then I'll be very happy. But look, we've got to win some games first, and I'm sure the club will play ball a little bit more, and we'll be getting all the players on. We'll be rejecting players one day. Who knows?
That's it, mate. That's it.
Thanks for coming on, mate, and go North. But look, I have a soft spot for the Swans. I will say, if there's any other team outside North that I want to win it this year, it definitely is the Swannies. As long as it's not the Blues, I'm sweet.
Yeah, I'm happy with that as well, as long as it's not the Blues. Oh, mate, their supporters are tough. But thanks for having us on, mate.
Easy, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Deebs, for coming on. Cheers for that, sir. Good Swans insight ahead of a very exciting game. So thank you once again. True Bloods is the place to check out. If you've got any Swans fan in your life, they'll get you sorted. All right, let's get into some news. There's not much news this week going around. The biggest bit of news, though, is apparently we have the number 1 rated defense in the league over the past 6 weeks. That is crazy to me. And even with the improvement and even with us knowing that North Melbourne's defence isn't their worst thing, despite a lot of the outside world thinking they know what they're talking about, number 1, that is wild. And that is such a credit to all of our defenders. You know, we've praised Charlie Comben enough for just leading the way down there and being the most unmovable force at times, just intercepting everything. Jackson Archer's improvement, Aiden Core being the King Slayer, just everyone's doing their role. McKercher and Fisher off half back, providing us run and not letting it come back in time and time and time again. Luke McDonald is playing his role down there. Callum Dawson finally staking his name in this team. So that's amazing stuff. I can't believe it's number 1 in the entire league over 6 weeks. So the turnaround is real, guys. And if that sort of stuff, we rank so highly in pressure and tackles and clearance as well. If this doesn't prove that the turnaround is real and will be sustained, I don't know what will. So good effort on that. The other bit of news banding around, it's come up a little bit more recently, it's been the last few weeks, is that rumours are that Clarkson sort of talked about the Hawthorn racism saga a little bit more openly with the team. And I think if you think about just like a normal workplace, and say you had a boss who, you know is a good guy and you really like, but there's this like weird cloud over him, or him or her, you would want them to come out and talk about it openly, I guess. And yeah, I don't know what he can and can't say to the guys, but I can sort of see and understand why, if that was looming over the club a little bit, or him personally anyway, why opening up about that and sort of letting the players in on his journey as well would unite us, and we fight for him a little bit more. I think when you get to that level of elite sport, not that I know, even though I did dominate the under-16s competition in Tasmania, I think at that level of elite sport, it's the 1%ers that matter. You knock 0.1 of a second off your 100-meter sprint time, and that could be the difference between an Olympic medal and not. And I think it's sort of similar in footy, where the difference between, if every AFL club is an elite standard, right? So if the difference can be they're a little bit more united and will play for each other and put that 1% extra in that contest because that's your brother, that's your friend, that's your like a family member to you. Makes a lot of sense, right? So, look, I don't know much more than that, but I've heard a little bit of chat about the reason, or one of the reasons why they're citing this turnaround, which it's not just he talked to them about it and then they became good, right? It's changing game plan. We know defensively we're not just trying to run that ball out all the time. We're controlling it and it looks so much different. But the unity in the team to tackle and chase and pressure and support, I think, is there. And I'm not saying that's the sole reason, but I reckon, I could understand why that might be a reason that they'd unite a little bit more because, you're 1% off and that's a massive difference when you get to this level of sport. So they're about the only two things that we're really talking about, along with the Northern Territory thing as well. I think Northern Territory is on the list, but it's not somewhere that they're trying to focus on specifically. Bendigo or like Wodonga and places like that are other places that are in the mix, but it's not solely the Northern Territory. So I guess after thinking about it and talking to a couple of people, I'm all for the talent to be coming from the Northern Territory to North Melbourne directly with priority access to them. I guess, if it's only an access of talent, I'm all for it. But if it means we're playing games up there and home games up there, take that off the table immediately. I just wanted to clear my thoughts up on that. So, if it's somewhere where we're going to play games and things like that, I'd be looking more regional Victoria, taking over Ballarat or a Bendigo or an Albury Wodonga or something like that. Taking over a regional area in Victoria would be much better if it's going to cost us home games or something like that. So that's my opinion on that, just to update you guys. Let's get into team reaction. And live team reactions are not as hot this year because we're kind of okay all of a sudden. And that means we don't drop people all the time. Now, Fisher is available to play. Wardlaw is available to play. There's other people. Will Dawson is apparently fit, but I don't think he'll be coming back in, especially with the rise of Toby Pink. So I'd say Wardlaw and Fisher are the two that I think you have to make room for. I think some people still aren't sold on Fisher. I think that's a bit wild. He's been fantastic, especially in Colby's absence. How do you fit both of those guys in the same team? Not sure, but I think you have to make room. Some people that could make room for me personally, to show you I'm not biased, I do think Dylan Stephens is a guy. Maybe drop him to sub or something like that. I still do want him to play to get a bit of continuity, but I could see him being dropped as well. Toby Pink is another one, but kicked a goal and seems to be playing a bit of a role. Do we need to go in as tall against the Swans? Don't know, especially with a game, the ground being a little bit more, a different shape to allow your sort of run through the corridor a little bit more. So, look, do we go in as tall? I don't know. I think I've been a little bit of a Toby Pink gets dropped advocate, but I'm not going to be upset if he's still in the team. Liam Shields, I guess, is another one, but once again, sort of like the other two, playing his role and kind of doing enough to stay in, I would say. So I'm not really sure who we could possibly drop this week, but hey, I'm going to get the team up. We're going to have a look because, they're the three. If they're dropped, I won't be shocked. Anyone else, I'll be shocked. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, wow. Will Phillips. Oh, why? Okay. I don't think Will Phillips. Is it before the bye again? Because I don't understand what's going on. No Fisher as well. Okay, so Wardlaw's in. Phillips is out. Omitted as well. Tristan Jerry, 50 games. Sherry, sorry. All these nerds trying to tell me I say it wrong. I'm trying, okay? Get off my back. Yeah, wow. Why would Will Phillips be dropped? I understand Heaney is out, but I'm pretty surprised with like Warner, Mills being back in the team, especially those two. Errol Goulden is more of a winger, but plays through the midfield. Yeah, that is really strange. I mean, you've got to make way for Wardlaw. You've absolutely got to make way for Wardlaw. But Shields still getting a game? I think Liam Shields has been good. I don't think he deserves to be dropped at all. But Phillips over everybody else. Like even Dylan Stephens is more droppable than Will Phillips. Absolutely Toby Pink is. Curtis Taylor probably as well. I don't think he did much as the sub. I think, Dylan Stephens showed a lot more as the sub compared to a Curtis Taylor. So, yeah, wow. Okay. Well, looks like it's the first half of 2024 or all of 2023 again. And Will Phillips is dropped for no reason when he doesn't deserve it. Hopefully it's just a rest. Clarkson didn't speak about that at his press conference. I guess because they hadn't announced the team yet. So hopefully some news comes out about that because I don't agree with that. especially with all the midfield weapons that they've got. Looking at this Swans team, Callum Mills is back in. Don't know what to expect from him. Has barely played, feels like, for a year. So might be a little bit underdone, but hey, I guess you get a run out against the bottom team. But they've got names all over the park. I mean, the Grundy and Tristan Xerri battle is going to be very, very interesting because complete opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to ruck type here. You've got the big physical Tristan Xerri, who will compete all day. But Brodie Grundy is so much more agile, quick, and can almost play as half a midfielder. Even their forward line, like I'm not really an Amati or Amity guy. His one game he kicked 9 was unreal, but other than that, I think he's okay. Their forward line is so interesting because there's not one name in there I'm like, oh my God, they can kick 9. Like Papley's good, Will Hayward is very good, Logan McDonald's good, Amity's good. Fox is a decent enough player on his day. James Jordan, I don't know who that is. Anyway, Hayden McLean is the other one as well, which I think could be dangerous, but they don't have like a forward that I'm like, wow, he's an A-grader, but they just work so well together and so many midfielders pushing forward to score, especially in Heaney and Warner. Their backline, once again, the names don't scream at you, but they're just such a well-rounded team. There's not really a spot in this team that I'm looking at that's like, they've got a weakness. The ruck stocks are great and the midfield stocks are great. They're great at the floor, great in the sky. It's insane. So, yeah, wow. Interesting. McCurge has been named on the wing. I think that's great. But I guess these decisions never. The team is not how it's going to be set out. Toby Pink's name in the back line probably starts in the forward line. Other than that, there's not really much to talk about with the team. So, Jaden Stevenson, Will Phillips in emergency, and Robert Hanson Jr. Who will we sub? I would say Curtis Taylor if I had to pick. I know everyone else will say Dylan Stevens. Dylan Stevens, redemption arc. Stevens and Toby Pink, redemption arc this week. Wow, against their old team. That could be wild. Expect Dylan Stevens and Toby Pink to poll in Brownlow votes in this game. Well, look, not many changes. Consistent, which is good. But yeah, Phillips is really harsh done by. I think Fisher, if he's healthy, should absolutely come in as well. And you just got to make the McKercher-Fisher thing work. McKercher's a talent. Fisher signed a 5-year deal and he's been really good. So they're both going to play. But hey, one more week, fix the foot up, then he can come back in against the Blues, I guess. Okay. Let's go to this week at the barbershop. Start the Jazz. Okay. This is what has been happening this week at the barbershop, and it sort of continues on from what was happening last week. Everyone's jumping on the North train, guys. Everyone's jumping on the North train, stopping all stations to Premiership City. Now, is this a good thing? Is this not a good thing? I don't know. But there's so many people coming in saying, I love North, I want them to win, I want them to win. Now, people have been saying that against Collingwood, the old enemy, to the league, not us in particular. People seem to be rooting for us now. People are jumping on the North train in the media too. Lee Montagna said we'll never be on the bottom of the ladder again. So many people are singing Chom's praises now. And it's very interesting to see the turnaround in the reporting on North Melbourne. 2 months ago, they were ready to merge us with Gold Coast or Tassie, put us on a ship and set us out to sea. But now we got some of the best young talent in the game. What a surprise. Sheezer's numbers are like Dacos. What a surprise. Cole McKercher's got talent. Oh my God. Harley Reid wasn't the only player in the draft. I don't know, guys. I don't know how I feel about especially the media jumping on board. When they do and they say they've been here since day one, they always knew we'd come good. Let's not accept them. We're going to keep receipts over here at the Further North podcast. There's plenty of articles out there slating us. You can't jump on board that quickly if you told us we were rubbish. So, look, that's what everyone's been talking about this week at the barbershop. Everyone's starting to tell me, hey, they're coming. North are going to be really good in a few years. Well, you weren't saying that 6 weeks ago. Anyway, that is the main discussion of the barbershop this week. If you want to book an appointment, please, Black and Brown Barbershop in Mitcham. Book online, request Josh, and put in the comments Further North so I know you're a valued listener. Stop the Jazz. All right. Tips. We know, guys, my tips are the best in the league. If you're in a tipping competition, just copy what I'm doing here because my tips are flawless. I get most of them wrong. Collingwood Geelong, big game. Big game. I'm going to tip the Pies in this one. I know we all want to pretend like the Pies aren't good still. And I know they've had a few shaky weeks, but it's Collingwood. They've done it before. I don't know. They're Collingwood. I just feel like anytime adversity is against them, they always get it done. Yeah. I'm going to pick the Pies. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way with the Cats. But I'm going to pick the Pies. At the G especially. Hawthorn, Freo. I think Hawthorn win this one. I hate Hawthorn, as we know. Freo should be beating them. But I think down in Tassie, it's just a thing, right? It's crazy how well they play down there. It's an over with some sticks. It shouldn't matter. But apparently it does. So I'm going to pick the Hawks, but I would love Freo to win. Sydney North, already tipped that one. I would love North to get up, of course, but if you want me to be realistic, I don't think we beat the Swans, but I think we challenge, I think we compete, and I think we keep the good form going. Western Bulldogs and Carlton at Marvel. Now, this is a game because if the Dogs show up and the Blues lose, the lid will be sealed back on. Now, I'm going to tip the Blues because they absolutely have to win. How the Blues are second on the ladder is terrifying because they don't seem like like a second best team, do they? But yeah, look, I think they might get up against the Dogs. Oh, do I swerve here? Because my heart tells me Bulldogs because I just don't think Carlton have the nous. No, I'll tip the Blues. I think there's a few injuries for the Dogs. I think Liam Jones is out and there's someone else who was out. Adelaide St Kilda. Ooh. Geez, what a gross game of football that is. I'll tip Adelaide because it's in Adelaide. I think the Saints come crashing back down to earth. I'm not going to get on the Saints hype train that quickly. Melbourne, Essendon. Essendon need to win that. If Essendon don't, they are pretenders. They're pretenders for a premiership anyway, but I'm talking about winning the final, I guess. Hopefully they don't win a final ever. But I do think they beat Melbourne. Port Gold Coast. Wow. Now that is a disgusting game. People First Stadium. Where the hell is that? Is that what the Gold Coast is called now? Gold Coast for me. I want Gold Coast to win. Yeah, I'll tip the Gold Coast. I kind of feel like Port will win it, but up there, the Gold Coast are good, and they did beat the Pies. All right, I'll go Gold Coast. I hate Port, and I hate the Gold Coast too, but hey, give me the Coast. They need to bounce back after getting crushed by North last week. Richmond, GWS. No, I'm thinking Richmond here, and I don't know why. I hate Richmond. I don't want them to be above us on the ladder. GWS have to. This is bad podcasting. I paused for too long. I'll go, my gut's telling me Richmond. But I want the Giants to win, absolutely. But hey, okay, I'm going to go Richmond. I don't know what is coming over me right now, guys. West Coast, Brisbane. West Coast Eagles win. In the West with the new coach bounce. We know from the Reece Shaw days, guys, that the new coach bounce is real. So, West Coast win. Imagine that. All right. That's just about enough from me. I'm going to go. Good luck, everybody. If you're going to the game, I don't know why you would, unless there's some Sydney fans listening. Send me some footage if you're in Sydney and want to do it. Send me some clips of the game and send me a video of us winning at the final siren. Thank you to everyone for the Tristan Jerry helmet video. That video got thousands and thousands of views, hundreds of likes. So I hope you've all bought your helmets. Please, if you don't know yet, round 21 against Richmond, August the 3rd, we're doing a Tristan Sherry helmet tribute game. I've bought my helmet. It's right here. I'll pick it up. Hang on. It's right here. I've got my helmet ready to go, so you guys know I've got one. I've got other ones I've ordered off Amazon. Please, in the video, I show you screenshots on Amazon, Temu, Facebook Marketplace where you can get these helmets. Please get them. We want a Sherry at the game. We want hundreds of people and we want to get on Fox Footy. We want Sherry to come and take a photo with us. And if that doesn't happen, we're just going to meet up around the game at some point and have an army of helmet heads walking around having a fun time. And that sounds pretty good. So get your helmets, please. If you need help finding them, message the pages, and we will. Oh, my hair is doing awful things. I'll help you out. We'll send you some links or something like that. Anyway, thank you guys. Follow us on socials. Instagram has exploded recently. We've got a few hundred followers in the last week or so. That's been crazy. YouTube is doing very, very well. Facebook, we got Twitter, we got TikTok, all that sort of stuff. Myself and Marnie will be back either Sunday or Monday to record the pod. And we'll hear from you then. And we'll talk more about the helmet game and make sure you guys do it. If you haven't watched that video on the Instagram, go and watch it, please. Anyway, see you guys. Love you lots. Bye. Go North. I love you.